Hey everyone, Ashley with TechnoBuffalo.com here, and I'm reviewing the LG G Pad 8.3. It's an interesting tablet on paper, but can it stand up to the Nexus 7 or the Kindle Fire HDX or even the iPad mini? Stick around to find out. Okay, so we have to discuss the hardware on the G Pad. This is a really nice looking tablet. The brushed metal and plastic lends itself really well to tablet design, but on that same note, it's still a slab just like its competitors. It's not a bad thing, but it's not a good thing either, since it makes the G Pad a little bit forgettable. Everything is laid out really nicely on the G Pad. On top, there's a 3.5mm headphone jack, an IR blaster, and a micro SD card slot that's expandable up to 64 gigs. The volume rocker and power sleep button are on the right side of the tablet, and your micro USB port and microphone are on the bottom. There's a rear-facing 5-megapixel camera, a front-facing 1.2-megapixel camera, and dual speakers along the back right side of the device to round out the device's externals. I actually really like the way LG placed the speakers here. Holding the G Pad with your left hand doesn't cover the speakers really at all if you know where they are, and when you hold the device with your right hand, you're completely in the clear. And rotating the device in a landscape mode puts the speakers on the top rear of the device, and they sound fantastic when you're watching videos. This screen is gorgeous. It's an IPS LCD with a delightful resolution of 1920 by 1200, the very same resolution as the 2013 Nexus 7 and the 7-inch Kindle Fire HDX. Well, the G Pad has a slightly lower PPI than those two tablets, though, because of the larger screen size, but you won't notice. I promise. The viewing angles are really nice on the G Pad, and the colors aren't oversaturated like some AMOLED screens can be. You'll definitely need to crank up the brightness outdoors, though, because the screen is a little bit hard to see when you're outside. Specs-wise, the G Pad has a Snapdragon 600 processor under the hood. That's not top of the line, but it also performed well when I used it, and I felt like the sacrifice of raw power for battery life was probably a good one on LG's part. The G Pad ships with Android 4.2.2, but LG's got their own custom variant on board, just like every other Android OEM. Samsung loves to add S to their app names, and LG likes Q. So you'll find a trove of LG branded apps on the G Pad. Q Pair, Q Slide, Q Remote, Knock On, Slide Aside, Smart Screen, Smart Video, Q Memo, and Notebook. I go over each feature and what they do in full in my written review, so you can check out what each one is if you're interested. But I really do want to mention Slide Aside quickly, which I thought was the app with the most potential but the poorest implementation. So it works like this. You're in an app, and if you want to kind of store it off to the side, you swipe left with 3 fingers, and the device will keep that app there for you just off screen. Well, that's all well and good, but you can't pin apps there, meaning every time that you access any of the maximum of 3 apps in Slide Aside, it de-stickies it, and you have to redo that 3-finger swipe motion over and over again. I'd love to be able to choose which 3 apps I always want available, but that option isn't offered. As for battery life, the G Pad has a huge 4600 milliamp hour battery under the hood. For me, that meant a full weekend without needing a charge. But as a disclaimer, I tend to be a moderate tablet user, and I keep my brightness down to under 25% most of the time. I live in a cave. The second time around I tested the battery, I cranked the brightness up to 100% and used it the same way as before, and the G Pad was looking for juice around 12 hours later. So for what it's worth, if you're a power user who needs a super bright screen, this tablet might barely get you through a day's use. Overall, I think this is a good tablet, but that's actually the problem. There are some great Android tablets out there. This year's Nexus 7 and the Kindle Fire HDX are both excellent mid-sized Android tablets with some X factor to spare. And both of those devices start a full $120 less than the 16 gig G Pad. That's a lot of extra apps and accessories you could buy, so for me, it's just not worth the price tag. If this tablet was $250, it might be really great, but at the end of the day, there's some intangible aspect missing from this perfectly decent little tablet. That's why I gave the LG G Pad 8.3 a 7.5. It's just priced too high and doesn't quite hit any high notes to be worth its cost. And on top of that, it's just not compelling enough to do battle with its higher profile competitors. Well, that's it for my LG G Pad 8.3 review. Leave your comments down below. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the review. As always, head over to TechnoBuffalo.com for all the latest and greatest tech news and reviews. I'm Ashley Esqueda. See you guys next time.
What's up, everyone? It's Ashley. Thanks so much for watching that most recent video. If you enjoyed it, please click on the word subscribe right underneath me to get tons of more tech videos from us here at TechnoBuffalo. We have got unboxings, comparisons, reviews, recaps, and everything else you can think of here on the channel. If you're in the mood for more technology, just click right over here to check out some of our most recent videos. See you next time, humans.